Before we begin, I just wanted to remind you that I'm not your mom, and nor are any of the speakers on this show. Nothing you hear today is financial advice. You should be a big kid now. Make your own decisions, do your own research, and assume every crypto coin you buy will result in complete losses. If you ever plan on holding anyone other than yourself responsible for your choices, please navigate to the top of your browser window where you'll find the friendly red close button. And now, let the episode begin.
Hello, everyone. What's up? Welcome to the first episode of MarketCapping. We're your hosts. I'm DCF God, and we have Small Cap Boy over here. Small Cap, you
What's
here?
up?
What's
Doing?
up? Let's go. One sec. Let's just make sure all the tracking is working. Yeah, I can see you moving. Give me a little smile.
Hey?
Hey, all right.
Sure.
I think we're good to
That
go.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good turnout. There's like 70 people here watching us, so welcome everyone. Let's get the ball rolling. Hopefully you all enjoyed our little intro video. We're working on something a little more professional in the works, but we had to just do with whatever we could. Um, Small Cap, you want to get the ball rolling and give us the intro?
Yeah. So figured we would kind of use today's episode to talk a little bit about really like who we are, really I guess goal for the project, state of the market, and then really dive into like some of our upcoming plays where we're really positioning ourselves. So I think just kind of first things first. I know this is coming from really both our communities, and I also showed this a few other places. So welcome if you guys don't know us, but just to kind of like kick things off. You want to walk through the cool tech of the NFTs and then dive into a little bit about like I guess who you are as a trader to give some people some background if they don't know you.
Yeah, I can get that started. So basically, well, what you just saw there was, or what we're using right now is our Onite NFTs. It's a NFT project where you can actually be your NFT. So the idea is NFTs today are kind of like just plain old JPEGs, and you can't really do much with them. All you can do is set them as your profile picture. So we thought, hey, what if we could take the NFT and you could take the identity layer and be more than that? So now you get to be a JPEG as your profile picture, but you can also do things like get on video calls or do live streams and actually be your NFT. So it's a collection of 2,000. Um, I'll share some more bullish stuff later, but basically there's over 4,000 ETH in the Treasury, and all you need to do is get one in OpenSea, and then there's a cool Chrome extension, and in one click you can get on any video call as your Anita, and there's built-in emotes and everything like that too. So you can put up a peace sign, I can put a little sweat drops, I can be shy, I can put up fire eyes, things like that. So that's
Still
us.
working on the emotes
Yeah,
myself, but like, they're sweet. Like I mean, this is my first time playing with them and really like hearing about them, but they're kind of fire to mess with. So check them out. I didn't
thanks.
know about them, but DCF put me in one for the most part. But ooh,
It's a good way
yeah.
to be get on these calls as an anon. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
go through
I
your
was planning on like doxing my face, so like I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, and that was one of the issues I was having. So I mean, it does solve a problem. I'm a fan.
Exactly. Exactly. I used to get on video calls like for investments and stuff, and it would be so awkward. The other guy would turn his video camera on, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." And then he would like awkwardly have to turn it off again because he didn't want to just look at a quiet screen. But now when I get on a video call, the person thinks I'm there, but I'm like just being my Anito, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, very fair,
Hmm.
very fair. No one like I mean, like especially like work from home and stuff. You don't really want to turn your camera on 90% of the time. You're probably walking around your house doing other shit. So I mean, then it doesn't track you, but like easily like having a way to be in front of the camera. But you
Yeah.
can like use these, I guess, on your iPhone too. I haven't tried that yet. I'm not that
Yep.
advanced. But
iPhone, TikTok, Google Meets, live streams, wherever you want. It's great.
it doesn't track if I'm drinking coffee though, so
No, no. So if you see me spaz weirdly, it's usually because I'm drinking water. Like here's what happens when I drink water.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
good shit. Well, yeah, you want to dive into your background, like just I don't
Yeah,
know,
I can
crypto
go.
background. I don't even know if I know it honestly.
Yeah.
Like
So
what got you into space?
for sure. So my background is basically I got starting crypto way back in 2013. Yeah, I could totally be naked right now. I'm actually topless, but none of you know that. So I got started in crypto way back in 2013, and with Bitcoin, and it was a lot of fun. Like me and my roommate got into it. We were like Bitcoin maxis, and we got dumped on, and that was life. Then 2017 came around, and we saw the growth of Ethereum. So ICO mania, took part in that, and once again got dumped on, and that was life. So both of those times, I basically lost everything. And then this was my third cycle now, and I spent all that time like as an engineer, and in my real life, I'm a software engineer. Not full-time crypto. I mostly do like software stuff. I build businesses. I've built like 2 or 3 different ones, and now I started up a software business, which has done quite well. And then I do crypto like in the evenings as like an investor, trader, and I like to make small projects. So I built Votomac, which was a project for Tokamak, and we had the biggest bribes platform, which sold to Redacted. And then the next project I built was Onite NFT, which is this NFT project everyone's looking at right now. And now I'm starting this show with you, which I think will be a lot of fun. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive, honestly.
Thanks.
You're one of the people pulling all the money in to all the degen plays, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm taking money from the outside and shoving it into
Yeah,
this digital
yeah,
casino.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a dev background. I'm more on the finance side, but similar to you. I got in crypto pretty early. I was actually started in crypto in around 2014. But like I didn't go like all in. It was more just kind of like I paid attention to it. And I was kind of in college at the time, so I accumulated some Bitcoin. I was actually mining Doge on my laptop. Uh, Shout out to like the Doge guys who were putting like branding on NASCARs back in the day. I think I kind of got in just for like the community and the memes, honestly, but didn't really actively play crypto till more recently though. So I actually sold like 20 plus Bitcoin before it exploded in
Oh, wow.
2017. So I sold a bunch like at the bottom
Yeah.
before it exploded. So I got like actually super depressed about it and was like, shit, like I'm never gonna get back the size bag that I could have had. Like it like sucked, honestly. Like seeing everything go to 20K because I was a
Yeah.
believer too. Just
Mm-hmm.
thought I had more time to like accumulate. So like that really sucked. So I just like stopped paying attention to it for a while. Just I don't know, just like my mindset wasn't there. But always like stayed in finance space. Like did some tech sales like coming out of school and about the same time. Went through and covered I guess some of the biggest banks in the world. So like
Yeah.
I kind of put me pretty close to DeFi and I actually beginning of last year is when I got heavy into DeFi and it was actually because I was coming out of the meme stocks. Like so I was a big degenerate and playing weekly options in the meme stocks. Like AMC, GME, caught them at the bottom, rode them like pretty high up. And then when they stopped allowing trading for Robinhood, I actually lost like, I don't know, close to 6 figures on weekly options when they
Oh,
like
man.
paused buying. So I was like, fuck this, like, I'm going to crypto. Like I need like a market where I don't get screwed. So like that's really what brought me in. I like deposited like 30K and I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it big in crypto. And I mean, I ended up like several hundred Xing that in the
Holy
last year.
shit.
So like I did pretty well with it, and like I think a little bit more to Jen and like try and find some small like market cap plays and share them with followers. So all
Damn.
all good stuff. But I mean,
Damn.
I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to work with you too. I feel like you've always been like good about getting people into projects early, like not dumping on followers, and kind of I'm gonna say like one of the good guys. So I think it
Thanks, man.
makes sense, especially with me being a little more degen and your RFV and like, hey, how can I make money safely in big volume? So it's a little bit of a different strategy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a crazy background. I think like um it's cool to hear because a lot of people think that everyone that's rich in crypto was just early, but in reality like you were early, but you sold your Bitcoin too early, you played around in stocks, and you kind of just completely rejoined this cycle with 30K, right? And then that took you like all the way to here, like one of the leaders in the space, one of like the best traders. So anyone can really just show up with a pocket of change. Well, I wouldn't say 30K is any small money, but you know what I mean. Like you could
Yeah,
take that any multiple you want, and you can still make it. Like it doesn't matter how early you really were. You didn't have to be here in 2013. You could do it this cycle. There'll be more cycles. You can do it next cycle. It's opportunities in times like now where you have time to like research and really find where to position yourself for when the heat comes back.
Agreed. I mean, I completely agree. I also think you need to kind of find a niche and like find like what area you're good at. Like just pulling people into the space. Like I feel like DeFi just matched really well with like my skill set and like what I know, especially like coming from a background of like working with banks, like
Yeah.
working in the tech space. So like and like actually just trading in general. So I think that was kind of almost like a trifecta for me. Like I it just fit really well with my skill set. So I mean, happy to be here. Still learning. I think a lot of people have kind of joined my journey of learning throughout, but I think that's what makes it fun. Just keep the grind going.
Nice, nice.
But I mean, I also think that's kind of why we're doing this and putting like market capping together. So
Yep.
just to give everybody an idea, I mean, this has all come together in the last like 7 days, I think. Last week I put out a tweet and said like, hey, we plan to do a live stream, like want to pull together DeFi, give people a place to really a platform to be able to speak on where we can discuss products, like new product launches from different projects, new project launches, and also just like a general space to communicate within DeFi. So I think like when UST really blew up, like one of the things I noticed was all of these DeFi folks were fleeing into spaces that were hosted by Bitcoin maxis, NFT guys, and like everybody was kind of venting in these. But like a lot of the hosts like didn't really understand DeFi and just kind of made it worse in my opinion, just kind of shitting on like the space and like everything's really a Ponzi. And there are a lot of Ponzi's out there, but also like I think it's better if you have people who can kind of explain what's going on, give like the ins and outs, like why UST blew up, and like actually be able to talk through like what to look for in some of that stuff. So I think it's one of the big reasons we wanted to build this and like give really the DeFi space a bigger, I want to say, voice or platform to speak on.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I see it as like, a weekly or bi-weekly show where people can come and learn about like what's happening in DeFi. And I hope that, unlike most podcasts, we won't just like talk high level, but I hope we can go deep on projects and really like dig out like why things are bullish, what they're working on, like have interesting takes, bring up cool guests and things like that. So let's get into it.
Yeah, agreed. So what do you think of the market?
I guess we went right into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Straight into the
like
blood.
my market take right now is like it's quiet, right? Like on-chain activity is very low. We run a lot of arbitrage bots, and arbitrage bots are like really they're not as easy as they were before. Like there used to be liquidity across all these side chains, and people would be like making random trades on them. And ETH and other coins would be like extremely volatile, and we'd usually be able to like arb between them. But what's happening now is we see like volumes on all the other side chains are like rock bottom. Like liquidity is drying up. It's kind of just sitting there. People are kind of like moving back into Ethereum and then just like farming where they can. But there's not just not a lot of activity. And I think a lot of it just comes because like overall markets are down, like stocks are down, people lost money. And I think when people lose money, a lot of people don't think like, okay, I lost money, let me like double down and work. They kind of get scared and they stop betting and they stop being aggressive and they stop being like active. And I think it's just like a human thing. And that's why things happen in cycles. So right now, obviously, things are moving down and things are slower. But I really, really enjoy this time of the market because I can like aggressively size into stuff and there's always another seller. So like I can build up big positions of things without moving markets. And I can be like confident in a lot of these bets and I can just wait. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it's just staying alive through this piece of the market. Like it's hard to not knife catch sometimes when like
Yeah,
all the projects that you just wanted to buy so badly at 3x the values that they're at,
yeah,
it's like it's slowly dying out. But it's more about just having patience. Like I think these are some of the areas where you can just really wait, like do as much
yeah,
research as possible, and then try and find plays that like will really
yeah,
be able to be profitable at the bottom and like once we actually do level out. I
yeah,
mean, I'm personally kind of the take that we'll probably have a pretty slow bleed once we slow down, just
yeah,
because everybody's gonna be farming, dumping government tokens, and the
yeah,
ones without much utility are probably all going to zero.
yeah,
But with that said, it's like, all right, the other tokens that you're actually targeting, it's like, hey, find ones with utility, find an edge on them, like go out, try and figure out like really the ins and outs of everything you can about that token, because the days of just like having somewhat of a narrative and aping in and making 50, 100% isn't going to happen. So the plays you make, you kind of have to be absolute sure things, know everything about them so that you do have an edge over the rest of the market. So I think I'm going to be concentrating my bets a lot more, but making sure I really know everything about it and like I don't know, dot my I's, cross my T's before I ape into anything. But that's kind of where I'm at least.
Yeah, for me, like when I buy is basically like there's usually two situations. One is like I'll buy when I see that it's like deep value. Then I'm not concerned about like are there more sellers and things like that. I'm just concerned about like is there enough value here that it should be priced higher and will it get priced higher someday and how long do I think it'll take for that to happen, right? And two is when I think that people have to sell. Like that's the person, if you're a buyer and you have cash on the sidelines and you're able to deploy it, the best time is when people have no choice but to sell. It's not like they're saying, "Oh, I want to take profits here," but it's like I'm getting liquidated or like um my house value is down, so I need to like sell to pay for my mortgage or like they took on too much leverage. When people are like forced sellers, then that's like when you get real opportunity. And I feel like that kind of happened in the COVID crash last year, and we might see it again. But like, I'm not one of those finance bros. I know you come from finance background, I come from a tech background, so it's really hard for me to like kind of understand like, oh, this is what's happening with like the macro rates, and this is what's causing the sell off here, or like inflation is like this, or that results in that. So I tend to kind of like miss out on those kind of trades and usually just wait until it's like, okay, like I see sentiment where people are like angry because they had no choice but to sell, or I see sentiment where it's like people don't realize what they are selling and they're selling cash for 70 cents when they could just be holding it until it's $1. Those are the two situations I look for.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. We're not there yet, like at all. I mean, if like, there was an article, it was like, I don't know what site it was actually on. I saw it on TradingView yesterday though, because I'm playing AMC again, being a degenerate.
Nice.
Had some weekly call options this week that like absolutely crushed it on. Like so, doing that along with DeFi, but it's up like 40% this week. I'm smooth brained when it comes to chasing retail traders, just because they don't really know what they're doing in stocks. So easy wins, but with that, it's like retail, like money is flowing into the markets at all-time highs. That's kind of like what the Fed is trying to stop. I mean, I'm not a macro expert. I don't really claim to be, but when people are still aping that much money into the markets, like there's probably a lot more pain to come. But like one of the things that like I struggle with is like everybody keeps posting these charts about like $10,000 or like $8 for AVAX and Sol, like all of these projects, but it's kind of hard to think about when like you have inflation is going like what 8 to 10% or like whatever it's at. Like there's that much more money supply, and then you're gonna talk about like 95% drawdowns. Like just because there's that much more money in circulation or USD in circulation, eventually that's gonna catch up with prices because there is more circulating supply of USD. That like it should kind of bottom out stocks and crypto at some point. So I don't know. I kind of feel like we're not super far, but I also don't feel great. We'll see. I'm not in a rush though. So that's probably the biggest advice is kind of chill and learn as much as you can while you can and grind there. But I feel like just with the inflation, I don't know. I feel like it has to bottom at some point.
Okay. Do you want to go into like, so I guess like my next question for you then is like, what are you positioned in? Like you just said you traded stocks. So I'd love to know like, how do you manage to do stocks and crypto at the same time? Or do you just see everything as a chart? Like, what are you currently buying? I think that would give us a lot of color. Nice.
I mean, so I have actually picked up some SPY puts today. I mean, not that I'm like super stock market expert. Like I do decently well with it, but I actually sold my AMC calls before we hopped on.
Nice.
But like, I mean, that's about it for the stock market. As far as the crypto, I have more like my longer term stuff. Like I did like start DCAing a little bit into CVX. I do think CRV is somewhat a buy. I bought some Solana today, actually. I do think that's getting to the point it's a lot lower than I expected and retraced a lot, and I really like it for next cycle. So I think the other thing that a lot of retail and even myself struggles with sometimes is just like you want to put all your money in at once. You're like, all right, this is a good buy. I'm gonna put 100% of my stack in, and like that's just not the method you need to do. Like if you can scale in 5-10% at a time, like if you do, like if this isn't the bottom, like sure, maybe we go down another 50, 75%, whatever it is, but you're not going to blow up your stack if you're scaling in slowly. But also, if it is the bottom, you don't want to completely like miss all your buys. So I think like my really plan is scale into the stuff I really like, CVX, CRV. I do want to get some Solana. I'll pick up some AVAX, but I'm not buying that quite yet. I want to make sure I have a stack of ETH, but I'm probably going to start buying in small clips. Like it's been like 2 to 5% like of like what I really want to spend on each. And then like I'll make those buys bigger as like I start to feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay. So how do you balance that? Like that's one thing I always find weird. It's like when you buy SPY puts and then simultaneously long Solana, like don't you feel like if stocks go down, Sol's going down more, or do you really just buy the SPY puts as a hedge? Like how are you thinking about that?
Well, I mean, I kind of, yeah, for the most part. I mean, I think crypto's gotten crushed way worse than the actual stock market, but I think a lot of the puts that I've had on SPY have been mainly been a hedge. Like that hasn't been nearly as a big of a bet as like the AMC calls or anything. So it's kind of about sizing there too. But like I haven't been able to like try and time stuff perfectly either. I mean, honestly, like to your point, it's tough to juggle everything. Like when I'm trying to do stocks, like I looked at maybe 2 charts today, or like trade like twice. When I mean I'm playing like weekly options and stuff, I need to really cut some of that out, to be honest, just because I'm trying to build this brand, trying to do small cap scientist, trying to like trade stocks, like and also like do research on all these projects. So I mean like I've worked like stupid amount of hours already this week. I think 8 a.m. till midnight at least every 4 days so far, and then today. So putting in the hours, like now's kind of the time to do it too. I mean,
So
I've got a
how
lot more done. How
how do
about you?
you track? How do what? I have so many questions for you still. Hold on.
Yeah.
How do you track all this? Like one thing I've always loved about how you trade is you are everywhere. Like the other day you messaged me about like AI Goblin NFTs that were like 0.001 ETH and then they went to like zero point 0.3 ETH or something like that. And you had like just a few of them and you made a few ETH out of it, right? And I'm like, how does this guy like simultaneously do this while also like trading AMC while also like looking into every Solana coin and understanding the Convex curve ecosystem? Like, do you just
Yeah.
have coins everywhere, or do you have like a system? Like, how do you monitor your entire ecosystem or your entire portfolio?
I'm like the least organized person in the world, so if that's what you know. I know there's not like a method to the madness.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just kind of like I keep an open mind, and like I'm on Twitter a decent amount.
yeah,
Like I look at a lot of different sources for like alpha, and when I finally feel like I have an edge, whether it's like NFTs, like CVX stocks, like whatever it is, I'll buy. But
hmm
I'm not always in everything at once. Like that's not really my goal. I'd like to concentrate more in like smaller areas. Like if I could be 100% stocks, I would. But like
yeah,
I feel like I have a lot less of an edge in the stock market than I do crypto. So like
right.
I feel like there's probably money to be made and easier money if I have a confident enough bet, I'll make it. But like I don't know. It's something. It's just hey, like if like goblins I was actually tracking from it's an account. It's like Gem XYZ is like
Good
the
website.
aggregate for NFTs. But there's a bot. I can look up the account really quick. There's a bot that tweets out like, hey, these like somebody just scooped 20 of these at once, and I
Is it
just
on
like
Twitter?
what
Here,
was that?
I can bring up the Twitter. What's it called?
It's like
Gem.
Gem XYZ.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Gembot, 0x Gem. Yeah, this is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
It just
Gem
shows you
bot.
like all of the tweets that.
Exactly. So it
Yeah.
tells you when somebody swept collections, and I was just like, it was like swept, and then I was like, all right, so what is this? So I started like looking up goblins, and I'm like, all right, and like there was another account that tweeted like, hey, goblins, like there's I don't know, like 8 mutant apes, like 10 bored apes, like
Yeah.
10 crypto punks owned by people who are scooping these, and I was like, well, shit, like that's probably gonna be something. So I
Right,
scooped a
right.
couple goblins at like, I don't know, I think it was like 0.4.
Yeah. And then
Sold
do
them
you sell them the
for a
same
couple
day,
ETH.
or do you usually
Sometimes.
wait?
I mean, sometimes I flip them in an hour. Like last night,
Wow.
when I was doing the AI goblins, I flipped a few. I still have a bunch of them because I haven't had time to sell. So I wrecked on those. But that's a
Yeah.
good example of like holding shit too long. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, hey, I mean, if I can flip NFTs, like
Yeah.
for like, hey, there's a meme going on. Now everybody's loving these goblins and they're like hitting the public eye just because their spaces are ridiculous. Like you can kind of tell when some bigger accounts start tweeting about them, or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, if you see them start scooping up supply. It's like, all right, I can probably flip these for a quick 2x. And those like small wins are like kind of what frees up your time to do everything else. I'm gonna say, like, if you can do one small win a day, that makes
Yeah.
a few each good.
Yeah.
So that's what I try, but it doesn't always work.
That's
I mean,
amazing. Damn.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, you have bigger bags than I do, and like you're doing software development on the side. So like, I don't know, how do you juggle it? I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of the audience probably isn't full-time crypto.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say like um the reason I asked that question is because I started off well, not started off, but I would say this cycle I spent most of the cycle very similarly to like how you're positioned. And what I did was I would basically get FOMO, or not even forget FOMO, like I would see an opportunity and I would buy that opportunity, but I did a really bad job sizing into stuff. So like for example, I would say like, oh, I think this NFT or this token will do well. Let me just buy, I will just buy like a small amount of it. And if I didn't buy enough of it, I found that I didn't care enough to like keep up with the Discord, time when I was gonna sell. I kind of just like would buy a bunch of shit for like FOMO insurance in a way, right? And it ended up working well. And like at the end of the day, around tax season when I came to like selling and figuring out my taxes, I was like, holy shit, I have so many different tokens, right? And like I have 30K of this here, and I have 100K of that there, and I have 1K of this there, and like to organize it all, I was like, I feel like if I just taken all of these positions and I had made a concentrated bet instead in something, I would have enjoyed it more. I would have been more relaxed. Um, and I would have like probably made the same amount of money because like let's say I buy token A and it does a 3x, and I buy token B and it does a 2x, and I buy token C and it goes to 0. Overall, like I doubled one and lost everything on one, and I 3x'd on another. Like overall, I'm up some certain multiple, right? But if I
Yeah.
instead just like chose one token that I had more conviction on and bet the same volume as all three, as long as I didn't move markets and I could size that much into the third one, I would have been much happier, much less stressed, and I would have been able to focus more on like building and doing productive things instead of just like keeping up with their charts or keeping up with the meme, because I find that like keeping up with the meme doesn't teach me anything. But if I can keep up with like convex curve ecosystem, I'm like learning and growing, and it helps me become a better trader and learn more stuff. So
Yeah, I
what
agree.
I've been doing more recently is just like choose a few key bets and just like aggressively go deep on them and aggressively track everything. So before I didn't really track anything. Like I would trade here, I would trade there, and I would just hope that like my Zap or a deep bank would pick it up. But then like I find like it's almost like finding money in a couch, you know? Um, and I remember I messaged Sisyphus one day and I was like, bro, like you are everywhere, but you're so organized. How do you do it? And he told me that he knows literally where every single cent is. Like he would never find money in a wallet that he forgot about. And that made me realize like, okay, these traders that are outperforming me, that are bigger than me, have better organization than me. And so that's what I started doing was I started saying like every time I do a trade, I first need to open up this Google sheet. I need to make a new tab. I need to write out that trade. I need to paste every single transaction that's happening, and it almost kind of prevented me from doing stupid stuff because I didn't want to log it. So it made me stop making like small bets, and it made me say like only if I
I like
really want to make this bet am I going to do it, because it's going to be a lot of work to like track it and make sure it's all there. And that's worked out pretty well for me over the last few months.
I mean, I would never trade again. I would just be like, yeah, I don't want to open that doc. So
Literally,
that
that's the
that
effect.
would be
Yeah.
the end of
Yeah.
it. Like, force myself to be done trading just because of it. I mean, I'd love to see that. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like what your system is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can block out trades or whatever if you want, or if anyone like listening like has a good system, because I need it. It's probably something I should work on, like bear market. But
Yeah.
I haven't really done that. I mean, I did make super concentrated bets though. I would say that's one thing I did great early.
Mm-hmm.
Like Honestly, you probably got pretty lucky with a few of them. I mean, somebody asked like, "Hey, how liquid were most of your trades that you made money off of?" And
Yeah.
I mean, the first trade I did, I was on like I think it's like BAO, like the however you say it.
Yeah, I remember about.
It was like an early farm on ETH, and like I was doing all right with it. Like started messing around a few other places, and then like I did it very small size, and then I found like Klon, which was an algo stable. And like, if you guys know me, I've played a ton of algo stables and have in the past. But like, I put like pretty much my entire stack into it because I had a ton of conviction, like concentrated on it inside and out, knew it better than anybody. They ended up making me the mod of the Telegram, and I mean that's probably how I learned so much so quickly in DeFi. Because you kind of had to explain it to everybody else as people were coming in, had to like know the ins and outs, got to like work somewhat with the dev team. They were kind of non-existent and ended up pretty much going dark on everyone. But beside the point, like ended up taking like that stack like to over $1 million just off of that one play.
Wow.
Because I was super concentrated, because I knew it better than everybody, and then me getting slapped in the face because I held it way too long. It ended up falling down to like less than half of like where it was at peak. But like it's the same thing. Like, hey, like if you have very high conviction on something, like make sure you're sizing in and like pay closer attention to that than anywhere else. Like the way I look at it too is the space expands. Like if you look at the most people who trade in the stock market, like they either trade like commodities or they trade like, I don't know, housing, or like they focus on a single area, and that's like how they're super successful. Like there's not a ton of people who are just across everything. And as you're starting to have like more NFTs, art, DeFi, like as it keeps expanding, it's almost impossible to not make sure you're specialized. Like there's plays you can make in other areas, like as they pop up and as you think you have an edge, but like you should concentrate on like CRV or like an area that like mine was always, I did really well with algo stables, like Tomb, like Basis, like stuff like that. I crushed, but like being able to concentrate and get good and like sharpen your skill set on one or two things like helps an insane amount.
Totally. Okay, let's go one sec. Was BAO that token that had like a 99% vesting or something like that? Like you got 1% now and 95% later.
Exactly. Yeah, it went to like 100 million market cap when nothing was 100 mil market cap, and it had like one guy dev team who worked on it like 2 hours a week.
Oh
I
my
actually
God.
I might be vested. I should go look. There you
And
go.
did you just sell like as the vests were happening, or like wasn't it just a race to
Sold
sell?
right away. I sold like what I was earning right away, and
Yeah.
then like the rest like invested forever. So I haven't
Yeah.
looked at it forever, but
Oh,
like
so you
that's
have
the
this like
first time
huge amount of BAO. Is it still vesting, or is it like now you're done?
I have no idea. I need a sheet to track it apparently because I completely forgot about that one.
There you go. It's Buddy in the couch. That's how you know it's probably a zero. Maybe one day you'll find it. That's
Yeah,
jokes. Okay, that's great.
yeah, I need to go back and look at that actually. Probably zero, but no big deal.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So let's talk about like what are you actually buying now? Like what, or I guess like you said Solana, you said Convex, you said Curve. Um, are you still buying like super low cap coins?
No.
No. Okay, nice.
No on that one. But I mean, like, I wouldn't even say like, I don't even know if I consider it fully buying. Like, I haven't really bought that much. Like, I'm starting to DCA or look to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very light. Like, I wouldn't even say I'm like
So what
excited
percent are you
to buy here.
stabled versus like risk
A
on?
lot. I wouldn't know on a percentage wise. Mine's tough because I do have a lot of liquid stuff right now too, like
Okay.
from seeds, and I'm sure you're in the same boat.
Right.
From
Forget
seeds
seeds.
that
Like
I've done,
mark
and
seeds to zero, pretend they don't exist.
but then I still don't know. Probably 75-25, and
Wow.
like you also have to understand that I like when I first started, I didn't touch stable coins. Like I never did.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm not holding stables, and I learned like the hard way. I really needed to have like some on the side because I ate some heavy dips last year because of it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it probably took 2 hard lessons for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna screw myself over if I don't. But like I was trying to grind so I could get out of like doing both work and crypto because I wanted to go full time. So pushed probably a little too hard, but right now, like me being 75-25 is probably the most I've ever been. So, I mean, if that says anything.
Damn.
How about you? Where are you like percentage wise?
So for me, I think it depends what you consider stables. Like, would you consider?
Here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you consider a basket of stables? I don't know, right? For me, I'm like probably 30 30% stables, um, 60% uh, 60% sub RFE treasuries, and 10% risk on stuff. So I'm like pretty aggressively allocating to stuff that I think is just completely mispriced because of like a very core reason. And that way I don't have to worry about like, am I timing the bottom? Because I know that I'm happy buying here. Um,
Yeah. What are some of your favorites there? Or like what are some of
yeah.
your like risk on but risk off plays that you like?
Yeah. I feel like I need to play our intro segment again. But if anyone didn't see it, our intro segment was basically saying none of this is financial advice. So it always scares me like sharing alpha because I feel like what happened to me throughout the like whole bull market was like I would invest in stuff and I would talk about it and things like that. And then sometimes it would go down and then people would just be like, oh, F you, like this was your fault. You told me to buy it. You advertised it. So this is not me advertising anything. And I think everything is going to zero. And so don't ever blame us for your choices. Everyone do your own research and so on. But in terms of my buys, where I am right now is I have like a bunch of WMemo. So Wonderland traded like way below backing. Like it went down to 18K after a rage quit. So first there was a rage quit where everyone got to take out like 30K per. I understand that one because there was all the seafood drama, right? But then it was solved, and then for some reason there were people that didn't understand the first rage quit. So what they did was they would buy WMemo after the snapshot window, thinking they could rage quit it, and then the rage quit happened, and they couldn't rage quit it. So then they were like upset or something, and they just started market selling. And I was like, well, this is dumb because now you're just selling below backing. So I bought all those bags. And I've just been like aggressively buying that up, which has been great because they also have another farm called BSGG, and that farm pays you out in non-memo, so it's non-rebasing, so it's real yield. So then I just like have this 30% on all my memo farm that I just like sell as often as possible, and then I know that it's going to go back to backing, and backing price is like it was 38K. So the thing about WMemo is it's like 70% stables, 30% not stables. And there was like two things that kind of hurt me here that I wasn't expecting. One was that they got a bunch of UST because they did like a bunch of Abra liquidations, and then they got stuck with like Abra's bad debt, which was like really annoying, and that hurt the backing, but like it didn't hurt it that much. Like I think backing went from like 38K to 36.5K because of it, and that's really cool. Whatever. And then the second thing they did was they took some risk on, so they bought like ETH, Matic, and BTC, which is really cool. Like there should be some risk on for like a good portfolio, but then that went down only. So now the backing is something like 35.5K, but still really healthy. Like if I've been buying since 18K, while ETH and everything else went down like 50, 60%, this has been up only, right? And like I knew that. I didn't have to like worry about it. I didn't have to think, is this gonna go to 30K plus? I just thought like, how many dollars they have in the treasury? Are they aggressively advertising that it's a backed product? Will it go back to backing someday in the next 4 months? Yes. So I've just been like buying every dip there. And now I think I might be like the biggest holder or something crazy like that. But that's been really good for me.
Well,
And I
well,
think it's like, yeah, and I just saw that there's like a bunch of proposals. Well, I didn't just see, but there's a bunch of proposals now about like quarterly redemptions. So Treasury manager is saying by end of June there should be an opportunity to claim backing. So it's like worst case. Right now backing's at 35.5K, but of course some is still risk on. So if ETH keeps going down, then it can go slowly down. But if all their ETH, Bitcoin, and Matic went to zero, just the stables would be like current prices. So it's like I'm
yeah.
basically buying stables and I'm getting free Bitcoin, free ETH, and free Matic. Like that's how I see it. It's like, oh,
Well,
I
one of
could
the
buy
things
ETH, or I could just switch my stables to these stables and get free ETH, which is really cool, right?
I haven't looked at the treasury in like a long time, but I know we even chatted about it. One of the
Yeah,
things that worried me there was like so much of their treasury used to be in like AVAX, and like they had
Yeah.
the LP there. It was like 70 million or something. And
Yeah.
I wanted to short AVAX so bad because you can see this
Because
LP,
they were gonna
everybody's
sell
trying
it.
to redeem. And I was like, there's 70 million that they're trying to market sell, excuse me. And then Danny was saying, hey, like we're not going to be able to OTC this. So I was like, AVAX is going to literal zero. And then like you had the UST stuff happen. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, now they both need to dump. But like I haven't tracked it that close. But
No, they
like
basically
what's
sold
in
everything.
their treasury now? Like what
It's
is
like
that risk on percentage? Is it mainly ETH or like?
no, it's all stables. It's like 70% stables and then 30%. I think it's like ETH, BTC, Matic, and AVAX. I haven't looked closely. I just know that I have intern like kind of check the numbers and things like that. But it's basically 70-30 split. So I feel healthy. Like even if it all went to zero, all went to zero, which it won't. Like I'm pretty bullish on like ETH being a very valuable token in the future. So I'm happy waiting, happy claiming it, whatever that is. But that's that one.
What's the yield? You said that you're getting it in other assets. Like what's that
Yeah,
look like?
30%. Oh well, 23% now because it's
Well,
basically
yeah.
like the coin is down only. They did it like a VC investment in a project called BSGG, which is like it's called Bet Swap. It's like sports betting. And then they slowly give token holders the token. So if you look at the chart, it's like the chart is like sideways, and then as soon as the WMemo farm starts, the chart's just like this slow grind down because all the WMemo holders just like sell their like farm BSGG. Like my strategy is sell the farm BSGG and then use that to accumulate more WMemo. So it's like the yield is better than 30% because it also means I get to use the yield to buy more WMemo, which is backed by more cash, right? So I know that's going to go up to like 35, 36K. And in the rage quit proposals, they're proposing like giving people 20% of the BSGG. So if they do that, then there might also backing might be closer to like 39 or 40K, which would be great. So a lot of exciting stuff there. But like I think that trade is mostly priced in now. Like I think you can buy for like 30K now. So there's maybe like 10% upside, 10 or 20% upside, 10% in the worst case, 20 or 30% in the best case, and you probably have to wait a month. But if I can like size into that, then it's like if I can put half my portfolio in there and just wait, it's like almost better than putting in 5% of my portfolio into some high risk bet and letting it do multiples because I'll make the same amount of money, but I'll be stressed
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, that's fair. That sounds like an opportunity for like Yield Yak or somebody to like put an auto compounder together. But
Oh yeah,
I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to make more than probably you're going to get in stables.
yeah,
Just because stables are so like overcrowded as a trade, like finding like creative ways to
farm with
like earn
stables.
other tokens.
Yeah,
So like I actually just tweeted it at like Josh Rager this morning, but like Sammy from Redacted put together a thesis is like the base plate thesis of like the projects that survive or like ones that can extract value out of other projects. And like that's pretty much like what you're talking about. I mean, you're saying
yeah,
like the BSGG, like you're
yeah,
being able to take their token and really dump it and like earn more because of it. So it's like that's kind of the CRV, CVX, like those flywheels are like they're extracting value out of other protocols, and that's like how they're gonna survive. But I mean, like when I look at like ones that do that, like CRV, CVX are a few. I think like Looks Rare is one that I think a lot of people target for that reason because it earns ETH. But it depends like how bullish you are over the next like year on NFTs. If you think like ETH's going like way down, NFTs aren't gonna have any volume, then that's probably not like a great play.
yeah,
But I mean, that's a target. I mean,
yeah.
like
Let's talk
go
about
ahead.
that a little bit more. Like you're talking about Redacted, you're talking about Convex, talking about Curve. Like, what do you think about that ecosystem right now?
I mean, I like it. Like, I think there's tons of like that's where most of the volume's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I actually gotten like a somewhat heated debate with a guy yesterday on Twitter who was telling me that like Curve was going to go into a death spiral because volumes were going to go down, and then because volumes were going to go down, Curve was going to be worth less, and because Curve was going to be worth less, like there were going to be less efficient trades, and he was arguing that Uni was going to get all the volume, which they do get more volume, but like Uni's capital or like the reason that they have so much liquidity is because people deposit their like say it's stables or ETH USDC. Those are some of their biggest pools, and then they deposit those LP tokens in projects to earn shitcoins. So if all those shitcoins go to zero, they're not going to have like the inflow of new projects and new money that's just going to like prop up like 1,000% yields or 100+% yields on stable coins that have been happening the last like 6 months. So Like I personally think Uni is probably in a bit of a tougher spot than Curve when it comes to that, just because there aren't as many projects that are gonna hold up super well that offer like I don't know stable and like some of those larger pools of
Yeah.
return the
Is that
investment.
still
So
happening? Like, I always thought early on, like with UniV2 when they had the yams farms and things like that, like most of, well, not most of, I don't know how much, but like a bunch of liquidity is coming from that. But now with UniV3, like I haven't seen a single staking farm for until I saw like the ribbon one, you know? And there is a lot of like stable liquidity. Like Easy Breezy is saying Curve and Uni are built for different things. Yeah, like I can see that too. Like Curve is probably more based for not just for stable swaps, but I feel like Curve exists for protocols to like Curve tokenomics exists for protocols to build liquidity when they don't have it, right? It's like let's say I have let's say I'm Frax or I'm a new stable coin and I want to build liquidity. I probably can't just tell people like, oh, go add liquidity to Uniswap. But what I could do is I could buy like Convex or Curve and I could like continuously send emissions towards my pool. So then I feel like there's another coin paying for it. So the tokenomics kind of work out where like protocols have to buy like Curve or Convex or whatever they may be to prop up those prices. And then they get to decide where the emissions go to get liquidity for their token. Whereas I think like more of the Uniswap users are like set it and forget it almost, or limit orderers. So like the times I've used Uni V3 are like I want to sell something, but I know I'm gonna like crush the market if I try to sell it. So let me just put up this like tight range limit order and let people like buy through it or sell through it, and then I can just remove liquidity and I'll have gotten rid of it or something along that, like that,
yeah,
those lines.
yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I think I wasn't even saying Uni and Curve were like the same thing. It was more me. Like I was actually some other guy was comparing them on one of his Twitter threads, and that's kind of why I
Oh, and you were trying
targeted.
to say like,
And he was
yeah, I
saying that
got
it was
you.
going to go into a death spiral, and I was
Yes,
telling him why it wasn't. But
yeah,
that was the comparison he was making on volumes between the two. But I
yeah.
mean,
I agree.
so
They're
like,
totally different. I don't think
yeah,
you can say that like, um,
no,
if
not at all.
that Uniswap will eat all of Curve's volume or Curve will eat all of Uniswap's volume. Like they have
Yeah.
totally different use cases.
So I think one of the big things for me, and I tweeted about it with Convex, is like I think if you look at the backbone of DeFi, it really is Curve. So
Hmm.
it's like if I'm not gonna make bets on like DeFi long term, that's probably where I'm gonna make them is CRV and CVX. But I mean, there's been so much that just like kind of has happened in that environment in the past like week. Like I'm not even fully caught up on everything.
You want to go through it?
I mean,
I think I have the websites loaded up.
yeah, go for it. Hold up.
Like you want to go through Magic Curve first? Which one's that one? Abracadabras.
Yeah, Abracadabra getting whitelisted for CRV pool is like a really big deal.
Yes.
That starts to compete with Cur or Convex. And I mean it makes it a little bit more of a struggle like to say like, hey, CVX is going to be like the full winner long term.
Yeah.
I mean they've already accumulated so much curve, but like when you look at like circulating supply curve compared to TVL, like there's way more emissions to be had over the next few years. So it's like, hey, do they really have that like big of a stronghold on it? It's like if you start to build some other innovative things and like offer better yields, like I think somebody else can take a share of CVX's market cap. But
Hmm.
I mean that's something like a perfect example of something I wasn't really like I didn't have a full view. Like I didn't
Yeah.
realize that that whitelist went through probably I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago it passed. And like I started buying into CVX and I mean I still feel like CVX long term, but like me not knowing every single thing going on in the ecosystem makes
Hmm.
it like me have a little bit less of an edge. So like
Right.
bear market like 1,000% like should have made sure I was on top of this too. But
Right.
um
So
yeah, I
how
mean
this basically works is so I have to take my curve. Well, okay, so how convex works is I give them my curve and I get convex curve. And then they have a bunch of pools for stables, and anyone can come give them stables and they can farm both convex and the curve that they use. And they get more curve because they have locked curve, which can boost those yields, right? Then they earn a bunch of curve, and then people can bribe convex holders to use that curve to vote for their pools. And that's how it gets its revenue. Now, I feel like we got to a point where buying Convex wasn't extremely efficient anymore for protocols. Before protocols, it was really efficient because they could buy one Convex and they could vote with it for a ton of curve emissions. So it was cheaper to buy Convex than to like put out money themselves to get yields or to buy curve. But then we got to a point where Convex went up and curve kind of started going down, and it was almost like buying Convex and buying curve are similar things, but going forward you have this like thing where Convex is decreasing its emissions, so Convex will forever control all of the locked convex curve and more without emitting more convex. Whereas if you buy a curve, you won't forever control the same amount, since you have to always make sure you're keeping up with the same percent of the curve cap, right? So it's like other people are earning your tokens and get dumped on you, but if you're buying convex, it's hard for you to get dumped on. But the value of it is kind of that curve it controls, so it's a hard thing to work out. But we got to this point where protocol started saying, okay, I might need to do more than just buy convex. And I think that's what's leading us to things like the Abracadabra magic curve setup. So how this works, from what I've seen, is basically you can go to Abracadabra and you can take your curve and you can borrow against it for 0 interest, which is really cool because right now if I want to borrow against my curve and I do it in a lending protocol, I usually have to pay like some percentage, like 3% APRs or 5% APRs or whatever that is, and liquidation ratios are usually quite low. So I imagine because like Danny's pretty degenerate and they want to get a lot of this, they'll let you borrow a lot of money against your curve for free. So for people that want to long curve, I think that's the setup they're trying to go for, where it's like if you want to be long curve but you don't really care about like using your curve for voting and things along those lines, this is a good place because you can stay along curve and you can get leverage for it. But then what Abra is going to do is they're going to take the underlying locked curve and underlying curve, and they're going to lock it into curve and use that to vote for their own pools to create liquidity for MIM. So then they don't have to emit spell. So they can get spell emissions down to 0, but they can use curve emissions to incentivize MIM3 pool liquidity. And they can use the curve that people are borrowing against to continue to incentivize that MIM3 pool liquidity. But my take on this is like, I would love to do this, but I feel like the narrative is curve is like a work token. So I almost don't want to give up the like locked curve and future yields from it. So I don't know what will happen, but this is their goal here. It's like 0% interest-free loans against curve. But what I don't like is when I withdraw, it says here, when a position needs to be closed, users get back M curve. So when I withdraw, I'm not going to get curve back. I'm going to get 4-year locked M curve. So it's almost like getting convex curve back. So then they're going to have to make this like an M curve pool where people can swap M curve for curve. And then you get into those issues of like, how liquid is this M curve pool, and how will they make sure that like the peg is strong? Like they've managed to do a good job with the MIM peg, so maybe they'll do a good job with the M curve peg. But there is trust that if you ever want to sell your curve, you need to make sure that there's liquidity for like M curve to curve, then curve to ETH, then ETH to stables, if that's like the hops you want to go through. So I'm curious how that'll play out. Abra themselves have bought a lot of curve and will use M curve, so obviously it's going to get some like users and some TVL because like they're worst case self users of it. But I think they want real users to come use M curve instead of convex curve. And then it's Danny, so like he always has something interesting up his sleeve that isn't in this proposal. So I'm sure there's some wild use cases going to come up that none of us are thinking of for this that isn't just borrow against your M curve.
It's interesting because like I feel like every few months like the strategy goes, all right, we need to hoard like CVX, and then like all of these DAOs, they're like, we need to hoard CVX, and then they're like, oh, we're dumping our CVX, and then they start hoarding. Like it goes back and forth so quickly.
Yeah.
But like it's there's a lot of speculation, but it feels like a lot of it's coming together. Like I mean, if there's one person, like I feel like Danny's on top of this, and I've been pushing for this whitelist for a long time. So I think I'm interested to see where that goes.
Like, I really do agree with you. Like the guy always comes up with crazy stuff, and I think his rep like got like slaughtered over all the Sifu stuff and like the Olympus stuff and like the Jones stuff. So I think like he's really looking to have like comeback season. So we'll see how that goes. But I feel like Spell is right around their corner of attempting to do that comeback season. And that's like a gut thing. I don't really have like facts to prove it. But I don't have a lot of Spell, so.
That's on my list of like, hey, I really need to deep dive this, figure out like where and when I think like that Ponzi could kick in of Spell finally like making the run.
When's the revenge arc? When's Danny revenge arc happening?
It's one of those. It's one of those that everybody's said it for so long. Like, hey, like Spell's gonna go, and like there's been so many bulls, and like I haven't heard that for probably a month or like seen anybody tweet about it. So like now's probably when I should be looking because it's not one of the things a lot of people have been paying attention to. So that's on my list. And like this proposal was the first thing that made me think like shit, like I really need to do it. And I actually reached out to Farmer Brown. He's my Abra expert all the time for that ecosystem. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, what do you think this is going to do? And I started grilling him. So I've started the process, but need to block off some time to do my own research there and like figure out like what's going to happen with it.
I feel like that'll be a good topic for our next episode. Okay, and then the next proposal we wanted to look at was the Frax basis pool, Frax base pool. So this, I think, did this come out today? Yeah.
It was
27th, yesterday. Yeah. So what do you think of this?
I mean, I think my first take was this. Once again, I feel like it's not the best thing for CVX. Mm-hmm. I think just because Frax was like really is a massive briber, and part of the reason that they always had to go through and really bribe CVX is because their strategy involved dumping so much CRV.
Right.
That's one of the reasons that they weren't going to get whitelisted or they weren't very close with the CRV team. But I think with UST blowing up, like Frax is really probably the closest partner in my mind of anybody to really the Curve team. So I think this is like kind of cementing, assuming this goes through, that partnership is going to be a lot more solid and that they're going to start almost doing dev work together. But I mean, if you put a Frax BP pool out there, I really think there's a good chance that they have extremely high rewards and they could almost end up winning the stablecoin really race.
That'd be insane. Yeah.
But
yeah, so I kind of like my thoughts on Frax are like it's safe. And I think that's a really good thing. Like we saw Terra unwind and I think like everyone suddenly started getting scared that like is Frax next? And then I think it forced people to really understand the stablecoins they own and why. But Frax was safe. Like they were 80% USDC, or well, when you mint a Frax, I think at the time it was like 80-something% USDC, and then the remainder was FXS. And then when you redeemed, you got FXS and USDC back, and you could sell the FXS. But with Terra, the difference was that it was 100% collateralized by Luna, right? So when you mint, you needed to like, when you redeemed, you could buy a UST and redeem $1 worth of Luna. And that meant like there was significant Luna emissions. But with Frax, it was like, it was like a tenth of the problem. And they didn't have nearly as much self-pressure. And I think today, like I can't say this on stream like with confidence, but I think like just research this. But I think like Sam put a post in the Telegram saying that Frax is actually over collateralized in the sense of they actually have more dollars in total in non-Frax than they do in Frax out there. But if you were to mint one right now, they've already increased the collateral ratio, I think, to like 90%. And there's a proposal out there to get all the way to 100%. I personally don't think they even need to do the like 100% thing. I think they're healthy. Obviously, they just withstood like a big black swan event, and things stayed on peg. Like things are good. And this proposal just makes them better. So it's almost like if they can get this narrative to happen where before it was supposed to be 4-pool became the heart of DeFi, if they can make this new Frax-based pool the heart of DeFi, then they're in for a huge win because, right? Because now it's just Frax USDC against whatever new stable comes out there. And for me, it's like, Frax is basically just like mostly USDC. So I feel very healthy having like a Frax USDC pool. It's basically like a 90% USDC pool. So it's like, okay, sure, like you should totally be able to do that. And then with time, they can slowly change the collateralization ratio to being mostly USDC to being other assets. Like I feel like their plan is going to be to start to bring in other stables, like maybe like RAI or DAI or whatever that may be. So you end up with this like decentralized stablecoin that's not all USDC, but is all fully collateralized stables alongside FXS that has a base pool that all of DeFi is holding liquidity against with FraxSwap, and I think they have like Frax Chain or something. I don't know. I saw some
I think there's so much opportunity there, and like one of the things that he got asked about. So I haven't been able to I haven't had time to actually look through this and like comb through every detail of it, but I did see some comments from Sam, and it was around like him getting grilled on this of like, hey, you guys are like cozying up to CRV. What happens if they drop their own stablecoin? And he was like, well, CUSD has been talked about for like ever, and it just hasn't happened. But he's like, honestly, if that happens, like almost implying, in my opinion, that it's gonna, like we would make a CUSD like Frax pool and then like incentivize that even heavier. And it's like, well, shit, if that happens and like they're also the bigger, like once again, incentivizing that heavier than USDC. It's like, all right, so now you have some of the biggest pools. People are probably going to be able to borrow against their LP positions or like their pools and mint CUSD, I would assume. So it's almost like leveraged farming. I'm not positive that that's how it'll work out, but I think there's tons of opportunity for Frax there. And
yeah, this is basically what I look at. Oh, did I lose you? I think we just lost small cap for a second. Let me just check on him. I will wait for him to rejoin. But meanwhile, I will continue to ramble. So when I've messaged him on Discord, and then once he responds, I'll let you all know. But right now, I'd say like if you're looking at Frax, what I think is most important is just looking at the stablecoin issuance itself. So I usually come to this CoinGecko page and I just kind of look at the market cap, and then from here, this is like the market cap of Frax itself, not the market cap of FXS. So this lets you see like how many Frax are in circulation. So here I can see that there was 3 billion and now it's down to 1.5 billion, and they withstood this entire event of Frax that went out of circulation and it still held stable. And that tells me a lot that like, okay, this is a good stable. So now what I want to see is I want to see this start going back. And if I can see this start going back to like its previous all-time highs where like more Frax is being issued, then I'm going to start to get like really bullish on FXS ecosystem and probably start like buying in a little more. So that's how I think about it. I can see he's on the call. He's just typing something to me. Oh, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. All right, welcome back,
Can
sir.
you see me?
Cannot
I don't know
see
what
you.
happened there. Did you hear anything I said there?
No, we lost you. I don't remember where. I just took over and started talking about Frax issuance.
I touched on like the only thing that like, part where I was ever worried about Frax was just because Temple had such a large position. Like they owned like 5% or 7% of all the Frax in circulation. Yes. I think that's one of the reasons that Sam ended up getting involved and like helping them out. Like I was just worried like if maybe their bottom, it's not like the RFV, but I can't think of what term they used. But like if their base didn't hold, that like they were going to dump a ton of Frax into circulation. But like they're like a tried and true protocol in my opinion. And Sam's super talented. So I'm not worried about Frax.
I think the other metric in Frax, I think people at what's the website? Frax.finance.
I think so.
Yeah, so the other metric that's really cool that I think is always worth looking at is where do they put their accrued profits? I think it's in like AMOs. Yes. So in the AMOs they have this like accrued profits section. Move the other way. Yeah, there we go. So here, if you look in the bottom right of the screen, you can see their accrued profits section on the website. So far, like, and then if you go to all time, there you go. There was like some point where like I think like Ohm was sending and Convex was sending, and they had like an extra $105 million of profits to the protocol. But like Frax does a pretty good job trying to keep as much as they can to try to stay aligned with protocols. So I think like the sell-off of stuff really hurt them. So now they have like, you know, an extra 40 million profits, but you can see how they make money, right? Like they can take Frax and they can like use it, their protocol owned Frax to farm whatever they want, and they can make good partnerships to like buy other tokens and then help them win, and then they end up like accruing profits, and then those profits are for FXS holders. So far Frax has made like an extra like 37 million of profits for FXS holders, which is quite nice.
FXS got wrecked though. That was one of the big like when all the stablecoin stuff with UST was blowing up. That was one of the ones that really took a shot. I haven't looked at it lately, but I know it was down pretty bad.
Yeah, they're
Hey,
like
fine.
$6.70. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, it was at 40, something like that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, this really
UST,
hurt
when
me.
the UST stuff happened, that killed it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw, like, I think everybody was worried about regulation, and like that's kind of an algo stable as well. And now it's pretty much collateralized. But I don't know if you saw, but Vitalik actually dropped a piece yesterday on stablecoins. And like, I think the reason he did it was to protect some of them that were out there of like, hey, not everyone's bad. It's a really good read. Honestly, it's like 3 pages, maybe 4. But he like kind of protects like Rye and some of those of like, hey, these are like over collateralized, but with more risky assets. Here's why they're not bad, and like how their vault system works, how to like tell if one's actually a Ponzi or not. So like he touches on a lot of that, like sustainable yield. Like, I mean, I think he was kind of writing that as like almost a letter to regulators, in my opinion. But it was a great read, and highly recommend it for anybody out there who's like going into this stuff. But
Damn. Yeah, I gotta check it out.
the only other one that's like worth touching on, I think, from a stable standpoint, is PUSD. I think it's getting quantified pretty nicely, and part of it's like, I don't know, that's what Tetra does, like Tetranode. Like he has it so you can like use collateral, like your NFT collateral, like I don't know, Bored Apes, Punks, like whatever, and then mint PUSD against it. But there's only so much PUSD in circulation, and Tetra owns like millions of CVX. Like I don't know, it's a stupid amount. So he just like between himself and DPX, like he's using all of that CVX to really like just pump that pool for rewards.
Is PSD on CoinGecko yet? I don't think so.
I'm not even sure if it is. Like,
I don't think so.
So
yeah.
I think a lot of it is still like coming. Like it's going to happen is more what I would say. But it's something to look out for. But like it's probably this bribe round if I had to guess. But I haven't once again haven't checked on this one in a few days at least. But like the whole concept is, well, if there's going to start to be PUSD and like 3-pool like paired together, and like he bribes with like 2 million CVX or 1 million CVX, like it's going to get a ton of TVL, and all these people are going to be buying PUSD, but there's only a finite amount that can be minted because not everybody's on like using JPEG to actually go and like get collateral or use their collateral and mint PUSD. So there's a good chance that that's printing like at 100% like APR, and that like PUSD goes to like $2. So I mean, I think a lot of people are watching that one pretty closely, but I'd assume that it's going to work both ways. People who get PUSD early are probably going to make out because people aping in thinking that it's pegged to $1, and it's going to go way over peg if I had to guess. So there's some Ponzi-nomics behind that one, but it kind of goes to show like, I don't know how powerful some of the CVX can be, like how much TVL you can pull just based off of forcing rewards from like CRV, CVX ecosystem. But I think that one's pretty interesting too.
Damn. Yeah, okay. I gotta say I need to go deeper on it before I can give you some like general thoughts.
I don't have like any of those NFTs needed. Like I don't know. I just didn't show on NFTs this cycle. I'll probably buy some of them and have some on like buy list for the bear, but like it's one, if you do, you should definitely be using JPEG though. Like I mean, there's tons of opportunity there. Yeah. They also started doing like like auctions of ones that they've like like liquidated. Same thing, right? So they sold a Punk and it went like super cheap. But if you're looking to buy one, like getting one of theirs on auction is probably not a bad spot.
Yeah. I feel like I should set up a bot to like look at the Punk floor and then look at any JPEG auctions and then try to like if anything's like 10% below or something like that, just win it from JPEG and then list it. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, he probably either built one himself or he's his own bot and just going to buy them. Like Tetra will probably just buy them. Well, but something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Sick. Okay. And then I think the last thing in this like ecosystem we want to talk about was Pyrex, right? From the redacted guys.
Yeah, I mean, I really like they've kind of dropped 2 new products lately, like Hidden Hand, I think sweet. Which is building the bribe marketplaces for all of the different like really VE tokens. So like Toke, you can go and really bribe and get like a gauge put in for your protocol and earn liquidity. And similar to like CRV, CVX, a lot of these protocols like where like there's liquidity is drying up like super quickly, like, and they have these massive treasuries, like they're probably going to shell out to buy liquidity instead of like incentivizing it with their own token and diluting their holders further. Like, I think if they want people to hold and like the people to honor the value of their treasury, like buying liquidity is one of the best ways to do it. So I can see a lot more people leveraging like hidden hand, like CRV gauges, like CVX gauges. Like, I think those are going to be a lot more popular as like liquidity continues to dry up. So I mean, I really like hidden hand, and then like Pyrex is the second one. I believe they kind of started to leak or leaked that it was coming out
it's all
in
on the
like
website. So if you go
four
to
or 5
Pyrex,
days.
yeah, if you go to pyrex.io, you can kind of see all the details on how it works. But basically,
Yeah.
what it is so it's like, you know how with Convex you give them your curve and they lock it up. How this works is you can give them your convex and they'll lock up the convex for you. So it's almost like doing what convex did to curve. They want to semi do to convex, but not in the same way. So instead, what they'll do is they'll take your convex and they'll lock it for you, and then every round of bribes, they're gonna airdrop you a new token. And what happens with that new token is it is the claim to the next round of bribes, I believe. I think that's how it works.
Well,
So
it makes them all liquid. So like it's like
exactly.
future rewards. Like you can actually claim and sell your future rewards.
Yeah.
So like think about it, if you lock for like 16 weeks, that like you can go 16 weeks out and you technically have a token for like that reward. So like you can sell like 16-week out rewards and then like hold on to
Oh,
your
so
like,
they don't just sell
it's like
you. Oh,
liquefying the
that's
rest
smart.
of the rewards from
Yeah,
your locking system. So
that's cool.
it takes like VE tokens and makes like their future rewards liquid,
That's cool.
which is a little like, I mean,
And no, it's
being
really
honest,
cool. I thought they were
it
gonna
scares
just
me
give
a
like,
bit.
yeah, I thought they were just gonna give one BFN. I thought they were just gonna give you the future tokens for the next bribe round. But if what you're saying is true, where they give you like all the future weeks or a bunch of future weeks now, that's really cool. Because then what will happen is like some people will want liquidity now and they can like sell all their future weeks, but then other people will actually come and buy those. Like I would definitely buy like 3 weeks from now, convex bribes from someone if they wanted to sell them for like half off of this week's convex bribes because they thought convex bribes were going to go down or something along those lines because like UST is not bribing or something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is though. But
That's
like I
really
think
cool.
it heavily benefits DAOs because
Yeah.
they're forced to hold anyway a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So and they need this liquidity anyway. So like there's gonna be a lot of like I want to say retail and the public that like hey they're like panic sell and like big sell-offs like
Let's
this.
sell all
But
my
like
bribes.
if you're buying rewards 16 weeks out, like I mean
Yeah.
there's gonna be DAOs who accumulate the shit out of that just so that they like have a
Yeah.
ton of like actual rewards
That
that they
sounds
get. So,
as close to a value play as possible. I'd love to buy some future bribes. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited for this. This is cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think it has a big market, and it's gonna work for really like any VE token. So like they'll build it off of it, but it's like the new ERC. I can't think of what it is, 774 or something like that. The new like wrapper is like what allows them to do it, but I think it's gonna change a lot for CVX. I'm like the example I always think of that scares the shit out of me is like what happened with Joel. Like you look at Joel, like really its peak on top was when they started allowing like OTC, like locked,
Joel?
like
I've never heard of this
selling
token.
locked Joel,
Oh,
and then everything
Jewel.
started.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Joel, like on Harmony, like
Yeah.
that's when like everything started going south for them. Is when they started allowing the like locked Joel to be sold because it's technically like allowing a lot of that locked supply back out on the market. And this is different, but like it kind of worries me that like retail sell off too many of those future rewards to get out of their positions because the market's tanking and DAOs will accumulate and then not need to like stack CVX in the next like 16 months. So like that's something to think about. I'm not sure how it'll fully play out yet. And like I think I need to do a little bit more of a deep dive there with like especially with how some of this is working out with like Danny and like there being multiple ecosystems there. But like it's something to keep an eye on. Like it's definitely like a catalyst for CVX.
Damn. Yeah, that's great. Wow, I feel like we spent the whole call talking about Convex trivia because we had so many
Yeah,
good
I
things
mean,
to go in through. These things could really go on for hours. Okay, so sorry everyone about that. Maybe we should wrap it here and we can save the other stuff for another time. But um, I do want to make sure we share all the like usable alpha plays. Is there anything you think that's like immediate and helpful for people that you think would be good trades?
I mean, so the Optimism airdrop's supposed to be today. I don't even know if that's happened. I've focused all of my time here today.
Yeah.
If it has, it should be happening like right now or soon. I'm trying to look right now if it has. But I mean, that's a free airdrop, and like, there's so much price speculation on it. Really don't think the token's actually worth much, in my opinion. Like, I can't really figure out what the use case is. I'm kind of looking at it as like them and really VC seeds are just kind of using it as almost an incentive program to get people on chain. But like the Weave team actually built the Solidly fork that's going to be the main DEX that it launches on, and they also did an airdrop for Convex, CRV, Redacted, Treasure. It's like what Treasure DAO, so Magic, and I think one other.
Yeah. The funniest
Other
part of that airdrop was the Eminence rug.
The Eminence rug. I didn't even notice that. Was that the fifth I was missing?
Yeah, they were like, if you got rugged by Eminence, we're gonna give you some of these. I was like, where did that come from? And that's just hilarious.
But I mean, I think that's going to be a big play, just because like I've heard that they're going to be hosting the liquidity for the airdrop for the OP airdrop. So I feel like a lot of people would just dump like OP into Velo, or
Mm-hmm.
like because they're doing a solidly fork, like they're going to look for all the projects to get NFTs, like
Yeah.
similar to like it's literally what they did on Phantom. And I mean, it didn't work so well on Phantom, but hopefully they've learned and kind of have it
And
figured
did they
out.
fix did they fix the bug that it was happening?
I'm assuming so. I would hope so. Like,
Okay. Well,
but
yeah,
like, I
I
didn't
agree
play the
with you.
Phantom one because I actually had a play laid out, and like what I actually did was I was like, all right, of all the 25 that are currently getting the NFT, which one has the smallest market cap? And like I aped into that one because I was like, all right, people are gonna want the yield that they get from the NFT, so they're gonna ape into this token because it's gonna have the highest APR. So I was like, I'm gonna get the price swing and the high APR out of it, and like played it that way or planned to play it that way. I gave the pick to like a few people in like one of my alpha groups, and they all crushed it. But I got super sick like the next day and was out of commission for like 5 days. So I actually missed playing it on Phantom. But
Hmm.
like there's a lot of people who crushed it. So I mean, I think that's probably one of the better plays, at least short term, and like it's
Yeah,
pretty free money because they're seeding the airdrop. So
right.
I think that's an easy one to go like
And it'll
bridge
be
over.
stable farmable, right? And I think
Yeah.
Frax will be all over it because Frax, I saw a tweet that said Frax will have an NFT, and I remember that during the Phantom season, for VE33, they were trying to also play like the wars and like almost treat it like the next Convex. So if they take a similar stance with Velodrome, Optimism season happens and they're all over this, it could be a great new farm. I totally agree.
Yeah, I've got good feelings about how they're playing it. I
Yeah, and
really
it's
think,
Gabagol, right? Like we trust him, so that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So I feel really good about that one. I think that's probably one of the ones I might take a little bit more of a degen stance on. I
Mm-hmm.
won't say I'll be like fully in pull two, but I'll probably take some chances there.
Nice.
But like that's what I'm going to target. And other than that, what did I have anything else listed for immediate alpha? Um, I've also heard, just based off of that same one, I've also heard that there's a very good chance in the next month or two that Arbitrum is targeting
Launching.
doing a very similar strategy. So if you haven't bridged Arbitrum yet, there's all kinds of good shit going on over there, and that's actually where probably the majority of like my open positions are. But like you should make sure that you bridge over and maybe participate in governance over there. Like take a position, like get out of it, farm for a little bit, just making sure that your wallets are good for an airdrop. Not positive that that'll happen, but a little bit of SCS speculation, I guess.
Nice.
But how
No, I
about
think
you?
that's great.
Any positions for
Yeah.
alpha?
Um. Okay, so like my second biggest position, well, not my second biggest. I think I have more Temple than WMO, but like my other big position I have right now is Temple. Is another one of those situations where I think people don't understand what they're selling. Like it got to a point where the team lost all trust in crypto Twitter, which was fair. I think the launch was pretty shit. Don't really like their communication. I think no one really knows what they're building. But like I've I look for alpha by like trying to stay active in these discords and like see what's happening behind the scenes. And I've seen that they are building, and I think they just got it started on their like launch roadmap. So yesterday they put up one of their first Medium articles, which was pretty cool, about how they're gonna make liquid lockers for LP tokens in Frax gauges. So the article is here. I think I tweeted it. Someone asked me for a link. Yeah,
That, I mean,
so
yeah.
so essentially their new idea is like you can add liquidity to a Frax gauge, and then you can put up their liquidity in their new product called Stacks, and then they're going to incentivize LP staked LP tokens. So then that way, like in the Frax gauges, like if you look at the Frax gauges right now, um, when you go to stake, uh, if you look at the yields, um, there's a current APR, which is like, so for Temple's Frax, it's like 8.65%, and then there's a max APR, which is like 4 max boost. But you don't have to have FXS to get the boost. You can also time lock. So if you do like a full 4-year lock, I think, you get 3x base yields. So if they're getting like 10% on Temple Frax LP, and they do this like in giving people a max 3-year lock, then people will be able to get like, call it 10, so people will be able to get 30% yields instead, and they'll have liquidity to switch back from the staked LP token to the regular LP token. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, the thing I'm watching for there is like, how are they going to hold up this peg? So I've already asked them to like give us a second Medium article that explains like, how are they really going to hold up this peg? And what about for tokens that are not Temple slash Frax? Like, what about for other liquidity within the Frax ecosystem? So I think it's a pretty like cool idea, but in practice, we'll see what happens with like the liquidity between the peg. But if they can keep that peg, then right now Temple's like a sub RFV fork, or not a fork. It's not a fork. They all hate when I say that. It's like a sub RFV backed token that you can put liquidity against Frax and farm at 10%, which should be 30% soon. And the backing is like $1.10 per Temple. But they haven't told us how they will protect backing. So I've been like aggressively fighting for them to like give clear metrics on how they'll protect backing. But if they can finally give us like clear direction on this is how we're going to protect backing, and by this date you will no matter what at least get backing, and they have this like new Stacks product coming out, and they have their Vaults product coming out, I think like it suddenly turns bullish. It's definitely been like aggressively sold off and everyone hates them. So I would say like don't suddenly trust them if you don't have trust, but do come to Discord and learn about it and things like that, because I do think there's like a decent trade there. Again, not financial advice. Do not buy it because I said that. Do your own research, etc.
I mean, I like it. I think if you're bullish Frax, especially after this proposal, which I
Yeah,
need to dig more into, that like I
there's
mean that could
something
be
there.
like a long Frax position because they are like so close to Frax. Like everything they
Yeah,
do is so like that could be a little bit more of a degen Frax
yeah.
like
It could be. Yeah, it could. You're
which
basically
I
just
really
buying Frax tokens for cheap. And the other
like.
thing they did was they just made a relationship with Fei. So Fei told them that for whatever amount of Fei demand they're able to create, they will give them that much borrowing power in Tribe Turbo or Fei Turbo or whatever it is. So I think that could be really cool because I don't know how the relationship works exactly. Like, is Temple only able to use that, or are any users able to use that? And will it just be like a loan of Fei, or can they use the underlying, or can you only use the underlying Fei to like farm in certain places? But if they're able to get Fei involved too, then they could suddenly be able to mint Fei against Temple, so you get this like really good leverage situation going. There's some interesting stuff happening there, so just worth a gander in my mind.
I mean, that's one of the things I'm keeping a close eye on too. Like, I mean, the if leverage farming, like I know interest rate vaults just dropped for DopeX, but like
Yeah,
if leverage farming really takes off, Curvance was trying it. There's a lot of projects working on that. If
yeah,
that like triples or like does four like the Curve, Convex, like all of these like protocols, like their stable TVL does like a 4 or 5x because of leverage. Like it's gonna make farming those tokens way harder for the average user, and
mm-hmm.
like then it almost drives price up. So like leverage like stable farming is something I'm keeping a pretty close eye on. But that's
Yeah,
a great point coming out
yeah.
of the temple what
If
they're
you're
doing.
into leverage stable farming, look up Sentiment and look up Gearbox. But both of those are basically like permissionless Alpha Homora. But I really like the idea. You can basically take your stables and then get leverage of that against them to like farm more, which could be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't looked at either, but I
Yeah,
will.
take
Oh,
a
I
look
mean,
at both.
I
They're looking.
have like Gearbox NFT and stuff too, but I haven't looked at it in a long time. But I will.
Money in the couch. One day it'll turn into something, right? Cool.
I
And
mean,
then the other thing a bunch of the chat was talking about is Berachain. Have you looked at that?
oh, I have not. I'll put it on my list though. Is that what you guys want us to talk through like next week? Touch on Berachain a bit?
Yeah, I can
I'll
get.
do research wherever you guys really like think that there's a narrative taken off. If that many people are like pushing on it, then sure, like I'll take a look. Might as
Yeah.
well.
Well, we like the
You know,
Berachain. Basically, the idea there is so it's hilarious because they started as um, just an NFT of like bears smoking bongs. It was called Bong Bears. And they started with just this NFT, and it was like 0.069 ETH, and now the NFT trades at like 50 ETH, and there's actually like decent activity, like every few days. Here you go, 5 days ago. Oh, the Elmo doesn't really count. 11 days ago, one sold for 50 ETH, and then like before that, it was like 46, 42, 46, 42, and that's because the OG Genesis bears, and I think also the rebased bears, are gonna get free Berachain tokens. So it's almost like you're buying an NFT that unlocks into liquid L1 tokens later. And the layer one they're building is like a EVMOS competitor. So it's basically like a Cosmos chain, but it works with EVM. So like a bunch of projects can launch on there, and they've already built relationships with a bunch of these projects. So like Synapse is directly invested in them and is going to be building the bridge. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And Temple is already like said they're going to move a lot of their treasury in there for farming. And I think a lot of the protocols we like are saying that they're willing to launch there too. So it could be cool. It's like hilarious for the memes. It was just cool to see because like I saw these guys like an Omi NFT and I bought one at like 0.06 ETH. And since then they've just done like they've delivered so much value. They just like literally built an entire L1 for the NFT holders. It's crazy. So
yeah.
it's an
Well,
exciting community.
how long did that launch and who's behind it? Do you know? Like, is
Um,
there like,
yeah, there's like some guys like Smokey Bear and Papa Bear, and they're like some OG Omis. But like, there's also one guy, Dev Bear, that's like come onto calls to like talk about it. But I know them really well, so like I could definitely get them onto like a episode with us. I think that'd be cool.
we should? Yeah, and like I think glad to do research there. I honestly just love the meme value. Like when the bear market comes, everybody's just down so bad. That's why like, things like goblins take off, just because
Yeah,
everyone's like looking for a escape from just like red charts. So like down to do some research or have them on.
yeah,
And
the memes are great.
anyone else there, like if you guys in chat, like there's people that you want us to have on or like narratives you want us to touch on, like DM one of us or like the market capping account. We'll try and put some of that together. I think next week, like we had a few ideas around people to have on, but nothing has been like fully solidified yet. But the goal would be to have a guest almost every week, where we can talk through some of like what's going on and hit some of those main narratives, and then talk through the rest of really um, what we're working on. So
Cool. Yeah, thanks everyone. Oh, actually, I have one more I can share. Spice.
good.
I don't know if anyone looked
All right.
at SpiceDAO.
What is it? I don't know what that
SpiceDAO.
is.
So, oh man, I think
Trying to
their
do
Twitter got
research.
taken. The SpiceDAO might be their Twitter. Yeah, this one, the SpiceDAO. So basically, like Sobi launched this thing where they bought that like old Dune book a long time ago. Um, and what ended up happening was like during all the Miladies scandal, it came out that the Miladies founder was like one of so was like in charge of the treasury or something like that. So it was like really bad PR, and it like aggressively sold off to the point where it was like a 300K market cap. And then I saw a tweet, and like Sobi's been talking about it recently too. But they like believe that the token is backed by the treasury. Like token holders own the treasury in some way. So I ended up buying a bunch, but like I kind of see it as like a semi RFE play, but also not. Like at the 300K cap, they had 1.5 mil of ETH in the treasury. Then they also made a relationship with Frank Miller, like that famous bro. I think he did like Marvel comics. Yeah, he makes
Mm.
comics. Um, so Frank Miller is doing his first ever NFT, and it's gonna be in collab with these guys. And every holder gets a free Frank Miller NFT, and they get whitelisted for the NFT. And 50% of all the proceeds from the NFT drop are going to the SpiceDAO treasury. And I think after that, I think Sobi put up a tweet saying something along the lines of like they'll give the treasury back to holders. I'm not saying that's exactly what he said. I don't know. But if you look up Sobi's Twitter and look through his like recent tweets, he had a tweet thread on what they plan to do with it. So I felt like there was like a really good value trade there with like a super super low cap. So I bought some of that too.
You just reminded me of one that like I mean that honestly I'm gonna have to dive in deeper there. I've never even heard of that. I mean that's a lot of value though. Do you know how much the NFTs are gonna pull in?
I have no idea. I've been trying to figure that out too. I just bought a little bit just to kind of like ape and own some and make my mind care about it.
Have you looked at Umami? It's like it
yes.
launched. You should pull that one up really
Yes.
quick. That's another good low cap. It's actually exploded. I just pulled it up. I sent you the link. But it's like on Arbitrum as well. So if you're gonna bring Umami and get an airdrop maybe someday, like it's a good one to go target because they do like high yielding stable coins and like also blue chip cryptos, but they leverage like DPX and like all of those different like leveraged farms to do it, so they can guarantee an APR. So their APR right now is like 39%, which is pretty insane. But they're gonna like cap like the amount of like capital that comes in.
Yeah.
And like they said like up to 100 million, they can get like over 30% APR, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
But like it was trading below Treasury last week, and I mean right now it's like what up? I don't know, like almost getting closer to 100. It's like 150% Treasury.
Wow.
But like, that moves into the APR. But if you can get a good entry on it, like that's a great one. And if you guys are familiar on crypto Twitter, like Crypto Condom, like he's part of the team.
Who love the condo.
Yeah, he's like the man. He doesn't get nearly enough.
He does not.
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorite accounts on that website.
So he's been helping them out, and I have like full faith in him. But
yeah,
somebody tweeted a thread on it, like where that spike is back, like where it was below Treasury, and like a bunch of people caught on. But they're about to launch like a new version of the website and everything. But I think a lot of people didn't take it seriously because of really the anime, like, and just like anime themed with a burger, I think, as the logo. It's like some wild branding, but trying to keep it under the
have you seen the urine branding? Like, come on, you gotta love it. I feel like it's worse. Or well, not worse. There you go. This was the urine Christmas post. So I don't know. Can you really compare it?
Oh my god! Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Up only we're gonna.
But yeah.
Bullish on anime projects.
Yeah, bullish anime projects.
Full anime.
Let's go. Anita is anime you can beat. So yeah, that's it. I think that covers everything. Yeah, rail. I think it's Railgun that he always talks about too. But yeah, Connor's a huge fan there. We should definitely have him on his show. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, honestly, I think it would as well. But open to ideas on who to have next week. As things progress with some of this CRV, CVX stuff, it'd be cool to pull in one of those projects like Tetra, Danny, Sam from Frax, like really any of those guys. But also open to other ideas as we head into next week's show. But I think it'll be a little bit different in the future if we're pulling on guests. Maybe do like an hour with a guest and half an hour of like what we're working on and some other narratives that we're touching on. Or we can split into two shows. We'll see what works. Probably do some experimenting here in the next few weeks.
Sweet. Thanks everyone for coming out. Really appreciate it. Hope you liked the show. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, we'll be posting the video to YouTube for all of you guys that asked.
Cool.
Assuming that we recorded it correctly, we'll be posting it to YouTube. So make sure you follow us on here. And if you missed any of them, tuned in late or been hopping on and off or got distracted, feel free to check out the YouTube and subscribe over there.
Yeah, and if there's any ask from me personally, it's come check out Onite NFT. You can see we're using them right now. They're NFTs you can be. Really, really fun to use. We're doing a Smash tournament, so if anyone plays video games and like Smash, come join our Discord and you can sign up for the Smash tournament. Signups are closing soon, but basically winners will win a ton of free ETH and NFTs. And our NFTs are like, I don't like to say cheap or whatever, but you know what I mean. They're like down from what people paid at Mint, so the Treasury is like very well bootstrapped. There's a really cool free PFP project coming for everyone, and there's breeding coming, so everyone will be able to make baby animes, baby Anitas. And the baby annotators are going to have full hand tracking. So I'll be able to like wave my hands around and stuff like this on the call, and like more expressive face and eye tracking. So a lot of really cool, awesome stuff. If you like the art, you want some unique NFTs, you want a great identity, check us out. Cool.
They're pretty cool. I'll get better with them as the weeks go on.
Let's go. Really excited for you to play with them.
Look at you, and I'll try and actually look at the camera so my guy tracks.
All right.
Good stuff.
Peace, lads. Bye.
Peace, guys. Appreciate you.